financial gain involved, especially if these lessons involve contracts. Welcome back to the channel. For all of my newcomers, you are very much so welcome. Check the description box for all of my information. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at iBuns. The Etsy link is there for all of my products and services if you want to book a reading, as well as our membership platform to Patreon. There's a link if you're wondering, what's that? Just click on it. On the community board is the first line of information. So anytime I have an event, or if I have any specials, discount codes, whatever, check there, guys, okay? My returners, I appreciate you all. And I love your continued support. And how you guys support each other is dope. I appreciate your comments, the likes, the shares, everything. So if you hadn't already, hit the like button. We care about those. It matters. It helps with the algorithm to keep me on your timeline, especially those of you that may have mentioned issues with the notifications. I want to go ahead and get into the video, as this is the introduction, and I'm going to pull a few cards for each of these little daily motivations for you. Okay, something short and sweet that just came about for those of you that may have been having issues with decisions, or even just the feeling of confusion. Your discernment, like which way do I go? What do I do? Is this right? And then, like I said, some of you don't even know why. You just feel this flux, okay? And I like that surrender came out. Because that, especially for those of you just that don't even know why, it's kind of like just surrender to it and being at peace. Don't add to it, whatever it is, the decision, the choice, the feeling, you know, whatever it is. All right. And we'll go ahead and get started. So the first card we have here, Indecision. I use my intuition in all aspects of my life. One situation, so this is going to be situation day. One thing that I can remember, when I felt this way, I was dealing with a guy, okay? We hadn't talked for a while. And then we came back into communication a little bit. I was in his town, like we lived apart. And so I was like, is this a sign? Like, do I go? Because I know damn well, like we wasn't talking and we didn't have good terms. And I was like, well, maybe if I just go, and this is silly, but I was like, maybe if I just go, I'll see him. Maybe I'm supposed to go. And then this feeling of flux, anxiety, like just attacked me, where it was, I don't even know what to call it, because I don't want to trigger you guys and use negative words, you know, but I just didn't feel right. Like immediately, I was gonna say after, but immediately after thinking of this or having this thought. And so instead of me taking that as my higher self saying, don't do that shit, I was sitting there fighting with it, like trying to make sense of it, or trying to get a confirmation that it was good. So it was kind of like a little bit of resistance. So when I see indecision and intuition, it made me think of that, where doubt is don't. Just drop it for the moment, right? Or indefinitely. Source said indefinitely. That's cute. Judgment. Okay. So judgment is the final answer. Okay. For some, it could be like the things that were like their God, like the things that were over and done with resurfacing. It could be something in the darkness coming to the light, the final answer. So for those of you that I'm speaking to that may be making decisions, you know, it's like if you have gone back and forth with this idea or situation or behavior, you have to finally choose to like put it behind you or move forward with it, or whatever the case may be. But on a general, the general idea, judgment also talks about your discernment. It's like sometimes don't judge, especially when it's ourselves. You know, be patient with yourself, which would allow you to be patient with situations. And then how you look at something is based on a bias of your brain, like, you know, as well as other people. If you're dealing with judgment from others, you know, that, you know, whatever the case, because there's so many of you, but that discernment is so personalized, right? And then we have surrender. My third card is usually, I want to say always, but it's usually my advice card, right? And so for surrender to come out, and it says that Oh, I didn't read it to you. Sorry. Judgment is, I understand that everyone has their own unique path and challenges. This is you. This is anyone in your environment. All right. Doesn't always mean we have, we are on this straight and narrow for our entire lives. We may have bumped into each other for a certain reason. We may have separated for a certain reason. I'm going through this for a certain reason. Whatever the case may be, find reason. Okay. But surrender, I can release my need to control. I know all too well about this. Sometimes shit happens. And I know that it's so general, but sometimes shit happens. And I don't know, it's like I'm so old school in delivering these examples to you guys, but things happen. Sometimes to test you, sometimes just because shit happens. When you want things to go a certain way, I was trying to make something work, and thankfully I knew it wasn't me, because I was like, I'm pretty smart. If this was me, I think I would have figured it out by now, but I was still kind of taken by, I couldn't figure it out at the time. So I kept going and I stayed patient, and something showed me that, it wasn't me. Like the feature wasn't available. The option wasn't available. And that still didn't help me because I wanted something done a particular way. So I surrendered to the need to control these third-party apps and softwares. If any students here or, whatever you do, all of us deal with technology in some way. I don't care if it's your phone not doing something you wanted it to do, or a feature, not being available to you. That can be very frustrating, especially for those of us that are very conscious and on this whole awakening platform. We don't need no extra, okay? So surrendering to the need to control was a beautiful thing for me, to not get into this indecisiveness and to not have an extra test moving forward to come back to me because of this situation. So it's kind of like the choices that we make may represent, the things that we later have to deal with in the future for some of us. And I don't want to say that to scare you, but it's kind of like, what if I dealt with this situation and I didn't handle it the best I could? And since we are all having a human experience, if these are things that we're experiencing to become our higher selves, right? That means that, she didn't get it this time, so we'll run that back later. I don't want that ran back later. I don't like confusion. I don't like anxiety. I dislike all of that. And so if you feel like me, I don't like to feel this way, then my advice to you from personal experience is to just don't. When I start feeling like that, because sometimes we can't help, it coming up, it could be in our environment. It could be your neighbors. It could be your people in your house, the people at your job, and their energy like creep up on you, right? Blow it off and make the decision that, hey, I don't want to feel like this. I'm not dealing with this. So anything that makes you feel kind of funky, because I can't, for lack of a better phrase, just don't deal with it. In Source said indefinitely, I said for right now. But either way, take a back seat, which is that surrender. So I thought these cards were beautiful. Now, to pull a card for you to go deeper into indecision, as this is a general reading for the collective, but I do try to, personalize it some. We have the Father of Swords. So this is stick to something and stay firm. The Father of Swords is kind of stubborn, so it could go either way. For some of you, the Father of Swords makes his or her mind up and won't change it, which is the very energy that could lead to confusion, because it's something else you may not be seeing. Like I said, the thing that I was wanting to happen was beyond my control, and instead of me staying stubborn on, it's gonna work, this gonna happen, I kind of just said, you know what? I can work around this. And so both of those are energies, I feel, of the Father of Swords, because the Father of Swords, with planning and strategy, that's his or her A game, where patience may not be So this card in the reverse also talks about that need to have patience because of the planning, because of the strategy, because that is required at the moment. And then I also think that this is like that super consciousness. So as I said, as we awaken and get into your higher self, the owl is wisdom. And the sword for me, if not a new idea, just talks about your discernment, because I'm looking at these chakra colors on this sword, you know, and I think about the, what was that? Is that the starfish in the wild unknown that has the little colorful spine or whatnot with the Two of Swords? So it's like a firm decision maker is what I get from that. So now with Judgment, to get one card. They all want to come out. I can feel them, y'all. That's why I'm just going to take it. Okay. We have the Tower. That's strong. Okay. So the Tower talks about unexpected. See? How well do you handle unexpected situations? The Tower is also my card for my spaz. A blow up moment. Okay? So just be mindful of that, because this is coming up in the challenging area for you. So the current situation has something to do with your, I feel, mental capacity or communication. However, and see, this could be dealing with technology. I don't know what Mercury is doing right now. Your communication with another person, how you communicate, how they communicate with you, or your thought process, right? Because it's air energy. Wherever Mercury may fall in your chart also. And then wisdom with indecision and leadership, by the way. Wisdom and leadership with indecision just says that to trust your intuition, to learn from experience in the past, and kind of be mindful of things or situations that keep coming up. All right. And then especially for this Tower, it's like something may trigger you. And I feel it's in how you perceive it. Okay. And with this surrender, okay, I heard in my mind, surrender to the divine, you know, surrender to source, surrender to the situation. Okay. And see, that's the thing. I don't see as I get this card for surrender, it must be deep down off in here. But the Father of Swords is not one to surrender. Really. The Father of Swords is very victorious in battle. And it's like, surrender? Huh? Not me. But if you don't surrender, things won't change. You don't get to complete the lesson. You don't get the credit for it. And then you feel stuck. So we don't want that. So we're going to turn this frown upside down and make it a smile, where those two pentacles represent change and growth. Whoever you ain't talking to, maybe you'll be talking to somebody new, honey. And if this is like finances, work, life purpose, this is momentum building. So maybe you should surrender to whatever is causing friction so that you can regain your strength to persevere. That's what I have for you guys. I do hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Until next time, namaste.